Next on News One, new information tonight on yesterday's bombing at the Luxor. When they get the call, they swing into action. We'll get a close look at Las Vegas's bomb squad. And the Valley's deadly streets claim another victim. A boxing champ becomes Metro fatality number 69. News One starts now.
You're watching Las Vegas 1 on Cox Cable. Live from the studios of the Las Vegas Sun and Channel 8's Eyewitness News, this is News 1 at 9.
And good evening, everybody. I'm Jeff Gillen. We now know who was killed by the bomb in the parking lot of the Luxor yesterday morning. The victim has been identified as 24-year-old Willibaldo Durantes Antonio. He worked at the Nathan's hot dog restaurant in the food court at the Luxor. Police say he was leaving work around 4 a.m. yesterday with a friend when he found the device on his car, tried to remove it, and it went off. Metro Police and federal agents believe the bomb targeted Durantes Antonio. Specialists reconstructing the bomb determined motion is what set it off. They say it exploded when he picked it up, blowing a foot-long gash in the roof of the car about 3 inches wide. ATF Special Agent Tom Mangan says, as far as bombs go, the blast was actually not that powerful. The woman standing near the victim was not hurt. The Mexican consulate is working with the family to make funeral arrangements. Metro's investigation of the Luxor bombing will also include information gathered by the Las Vegas Fire and Rescue Bomb Squad, the only certified bomb squad in southern Nevada. News One is live tonight with Carol Wilkinson, who joins us from the Luxor tonight with that part of the story. Carol.
Jeff, good evening. Well, of course, the bomb squad is still part of what authorities are telling us they are calling the post-blast investigation following yesterday's explosion here at the Luxor. But as I learned this afternoon, the men and women of the bomb squad are more than explosives experts. When a mysterious homemade bomb explodes, killing a man in the Luxor hotel parking garage, Metro Police respond. And the Las Vegas Fire and Rescue's bomb squad is also called out. This team, the only certified bomb squad in southern Nevada, is comprised of more than 10 men and women, although a city spokesman won't reveal the exact number.
We're there as technical advisors. When it gets a little bit bigger, we work with alcohol, tobacco, firearms, and explosives, and they'll come in, and we work real close with ATF and their people, and we're just there as technical advisors.
The training is extensive, and anyone interested in joining the bomb squad must first work as a firefighter for 5 years. Then, training as an armed peace officer is required, followed by attendance at fire investigation school and subsequent certification as an FBI bomb technician. It's all in preparation for incidents like the deadly Luxor bombing.
The bomb squad is there to dismantle any suspicious device or investigate any suspicious device. We don't respond on bomb threats. That's a police matter.
The bomb squad doesn't just rely on manpower in the course of its duties. Remote-controlled robots serve to make a dangerous job somewhat safer.
The biggest thing with the robot, it gives us some enhanced capabilities, probably the biggest one being safety of our personnel. Prior to the robot, bomb tech would actually have to walk downfield, actually hand manipulate a device or put tools in place and things like that.
The coverage area for this elite team is extensive.
They respond on calls on anywhere in southern Nevada, which means they can go to Pahrump, Searchlight, Mojave County, Arizona, and San Bernardino County, California.
But the bomb squad works on smaller jobs as well.
Such as during the 4th of July, people asked us to get rid of fireworks. We actually had people that made up their own fireworks at home, and it got so big and dangerous they were afraid to touch it, so we sent the bomb squad to dispose of it.
Now, because they also work with Nevada's Office of Homeland Security, and because of the sensitivity of the job that they do, the identities of the members of the bomb squad are a closely guarded secret. Reporting live from the Luxor, Carol Wilkinson, News One.
All right, Carol, thank you very much. Las Vegas's deadly streets have claimed another victim. Police are calling the rash of vehicle-related fatalities around here an epidemic. There have been 69 traffic deaths in Metro's jurisdiction this year. Henderson has seen 13. There have been 6 in North Las Vegas, and the Highway Patrol has investigated 20 deadly accidents. The latest victim was local boxing champ Diego Chico Corrales. The 29-year-old was killed last night when his motorcycle ran into the back of a car while while he was passing another vehicle. It happened near Fort Apache in Tropicana. Corrales was the father of 5 with another baby on the way. He was best known for a fight against Jose Luis Castillo in 2005. Sports director Chris Matthews joins us with more on Corrales and his career. Chris, good evening. Thanks for joining us.
You bet. And how ironic is this? 2 years to the date yesterday when he fought that great fight against Jose Luis Castillo. I'll tell you what, Diego Corrales grew up boxing in Sacramento, got his start at the Police Athletic League gyms in the mid-90s. He went on to become a 2-division champion, a fan favorite, and will always be linked to what some are calling the greatest boxing bout in history.
Diego Chico Corrales was fearless. It's no wonder that fight on May 7th, 2005 will be one for the ages. Twice knocked down in the later rounds, staggering to beat the count, then coming back to stun the boxing world with a dramatic knockout win over Jose Luis Castillo. Apparently that fight was a microcosm of his life. His promoter Gary Shaw says Diego fought recklessly and lived recklessly. That was his style. He always cared about the fans and gave them their money's worth. He was a true warrior. He was what boxing stood for and what boxing is all about. Castillo won't forget Corrales or that spring night in 2005. The two will forever be linked. Castillo fights Ricky Hatton next month here in Las Vegas. Hatton released a statement saying, "I'm really saddened because he's a fighter's fighter, a real man's fighter, very passionate when he got in the ring, always went forward, was always in good fights. I'm going to dedicate my next fight to Diego Corrales." During his career, Corrales racked up 40 wins against 5 losses with 33 KOs. He won 4 world titles in the lightweight divisions, fought Floyd Mayweather in 2001 and lost, and was later then jailed on domestic abuse charges. Was jailed for 2 years and stayed away from boxing before bursting back onto the scene. He was once promoted by Top Rank's Bob Arum, who released a statement saying, "Like everyone else in boxing, we are stunned and saddened at the tragic death of Diego Corrales. Diego was a class person who we are very fond of. Our deepest sympathies go out to his wife Michelle and the rest of his family. May he rest in peace." The latest from the police today, speed was a factor in the accident that killed him. He had no license to operate that racing motorcycle which he bought just last month. Diego Chico Corrales dead at the age of 29.
All right, Corrales lost last night, and just as he did last month, he was apparently getting ready to fight, and he ends up losing that, getting ready to do a little promotional deal with Golden Boy Promotions. That never came through. His current promoter, Gary Shaw, asking the Boxing Hall of Fame to induct Corrales. Well, we'll have to wait and see if that happens, Jeff. But certainly he was a good guy to Channel 8. We talked to him many times, and you know, a good friend of Dave and myself, and had some problems in the past, overcame those, sat out of boxing for a couple of years, and here he is. We'll have more.
It's a tragedy. All right, Chris, thank you very much. Appreciate that. The 3 survivors from Saturday's deadly collision with a drunk driver are improving in the hospital tonight. Sources say 7-year-old Juan Pedro Miranda had some tubes removed today. Carlo Dominguez and Annabelle Sevilla Miranda are also doing better, although they still face a long road to recovery. The Saturday accident at Farm Road and Tenaya Way killed 5 people, including 4 children. The Mexican consulate is helping the family with arrangements to send the bodies back to Mexico. Tomorrow is the first scheduled court appearance for the young man accused of hitting the vehicle, killing the 5 people inside. Police say Ronald Jane Jr. was drunk when he broadsided the SUV with his pickup. The 19-year-old faces at least 20 different felonies. Residents of the Las Vegas neighborhood where that crash took place say traffic lights would make a big difference. They say cars fly through the intersection, and another deadly accident is just waiting to happen. Channel 8's Melissa Duran reports.
The sound of cars zipping past their yards is something residents in this Northwest neighborhood are used to. Dennis Peruznik lives at this corner house near Farm Road in Tenaya, just 1 block away from this weekend's fatal crash. Although alcohol played a major role, Peruznik says speed is another problem on these roads. He says the area has grown tremendously in the last few years, increasing vehicle traffic.
Well, I don't think I've ever seen racing, but I know people have gone 50, 60 miles an hour down here, and it's really a 35-mile-an-hour zone, so we're concerned about that.
I do it sometimes too, and then I realize, okay, I'm going too fast, so I got to slow down because it's 35.
Residents of this neighborhood say the problem with this road is that it's a 2-mile straight shot, and this is the only stop sign.
It is a straightaway. It's just, you know, there's no curves, no nothing. It's just a nice for kids to race even, you know, up and down the road.
Residents want something done. They say it's just a matter of time before another tragedy hits.
It's like a freeway. So Speed bumps would be wonderful around here. It would just remind us all that it's supposed to be 35, not 55, 65.
Stoplights are good, attract more attention rather than just a stop sign like that. And probably more often on such a wide road because they think they have the speedway.
And while it may add a little extra time to the commute, residents say a few minutes lost can't compare to losing your life. Melissa Duran, Channel 8 Eyewitness News.
A new bill before state lawmakers would allow police to pull you over if they see you are not wearing your seatbelt. The measure originally failed in the state Senate, but passed after a second vote. Critics say it gives too much power to police and takes them away from more serious problems. Supporters like NDOT, Metro, and AAA say this is a simple way to make all drivers safer. The bill is currently receiving an initial hearing in the state assembly. A vote could come there soon. A new church plans to call Las Vegas home. When we come back tonight, why the Raelians and Las Vegas could be a good fit. George Knapp has an I-Team special report. Plus details on some developing news out of Los Angeles tonight. Look at that. That's where a brush fire is scorching part of the city's landmark Griffith Park.
I'm meteorologist Gina Cancelleri. It's warm and dry in LA, and it's the same story here. We've got a pretty calm forecast over the next couple of days. I have full details on that. And of course, the rest of the forecast for tonight. Here's a live look outside right now from the Mulaski Properties camera at the world famous Stratosphere. News 1 at 9 is coming right back.
You need to keep on top of the changing developments in the fast-changing world of business, especially on the local level. Every week, In Business Las Vegas reports on the latest ups and downs in the economy that could affect your next important decision. Plus, get it straight from the experts. Inside information from the A-list leaders in Las Vegas. You can't afford to miss the one local show designed to keep you in business. Jeff Gillen hosts In Business Las Vegas, only on Las Vegas 1.
This is video out of Los Angeles tonight where at least 200 acres are burning near the famous Griffith Park Observatory. Police have an arson suspect in custody. Look at that. The weather has been very dry in LA, and this fire is burning in the hills around the observatory. Firefighters have about 25% of the fire contained. That fire started around 1:30 this afternoon. No homes have been evacuated yet. Welcome back. I'm Jeff Gillen. Have you heard the old cliche that Las Vegas has more churches per capita than any other city in America? Well, maybe it's true, maybe it isn't, but we're about to get another one. The Raelians are unlike any other religion in the world since they don't believe in God at all. But it's their other beliefs that are more likely to raise hackles among other faiths. Chief I-Team reporter George Knapp tonight with that story.
When the adult video industry held its annual convention in Las Vegas earlier this year, it attracted the usual assortment of porn stars, sex merchants, and switch hitters. But tucked in among the bawdy booths and abundant cleavage were religious ambassadors, including JC's girls, former strippers and escorts who found Jesus and quit the biz. As the yin to their yang, meet Rael's girls, made up of Raelian sex workers who think there's nothing wrong with sexual freedom and that there's no need for strippers or hookers to repent at all.
Trying to make these girls feel guilty for what they're doing with their lives, with their bodies. They're bringing pleasure to other people. You know, it's your right to do with your body as you wish, as long as you're not harming other people.
So their message is you don't need to repent?
Absolutely.
Ricky Rohr is a professional musician on the Strip and the president of the Raelian movement in the U.S. Although there are only a few dozen Raelians here, Las Vegas will soon become the North American headquarters for the church, which has already sold the Canadian retreat that has long been the site of annual get-togethers for the faithful. Rohr acknowledges that Las Vegas is a good fit for the church.
It's an open-minded community. It's a happy community. If you travel around the country, as you do, you know, there's a lot of happy people here.
Chances are there will be fewer happy people among local religious leaders once the Raelians relocate. It is the world's only atheistic religion. The prophet Rael, a former French journalist who, to the Raelians, is on a par with Jesus or Buddha, says humans were created not by a god, but by extraterrestrials, cloned in a lab. A private company run by Raelian scientists claimed to have duplicated the ET science by creating human clones 3 years ago. If it's true, the birth of the cloned babies has never been confirmed by outside experts. Still, it prompted the president of France and others to call for a ban on human cloning experiments. The Raelians preached for other religious beliefs, but seem to revel in tweaking the noses of rival religious leaders by promoting science over faith.
I hope everybody in this room, when your grandchild or your child is sick, you don't run to the church or the temple, you run to hospital because you prefer science.
The Raelians have been slammed by other religions as perverts, Satanists, pedophiles, racists, and a lot more. Death threats are not uncommon, but if there's any spot where their core philosophy should fit, this could be it.
Pleasure is good. We're created for pleasure. Everything we do in every moment of our life is for pleasure, whether it's to eat, to pay your taxes so you don't go to jail, and either we do it for pleasure or for the avoidance of displeasure. It's a very fundamental, it's how we were made, it's why we were made.
George Knapp, Channel 8 Eyewitness News.
The group, by the way, plans to either build a headquarters here or buy and renovate a hotel. They don't need a place to worship, they say, only a place to hold seminars. A man accused of trying to have his business partner killed was in court today. Here's a quick look at other news around our valley. Tonight, Reginald Dillard had his preliminary hearing today, and a judge decided he will go to trial. Police arrested Dillard last month after he allegedly contacted someone whom he thought was a hitman, but was in fact a police informant. The informant, whose identity we are concealing, testified today about some of the conversations he says he had with Dillard.
He was telling me to not discuss this with anybody, and he wouldn't discuss it with anybody. And I asked him, was he sure he hadn't told his wife? He said he hadn't told her. He said he would never tell anybody. And pretty much that was it. He lifted the center console again. I grabbed $5,000, I counted it, and I left.
Dillard and partner Darren Lytle co-owned D&L Appraisal. Police say Dillard wanted Lytle dead so he could take over the business. Dillard's due back in court May 23rd. An agent with the ATF tells Channel 8 a rival tattoo parlor with connections to a biker gang may be behind yesterday's arson at a tattoo shop near Flamingo and Fort Apache. The fire broke out yesterday morning at the Pearl Tattoo Shop. It's actually the second time fire has broken out at the business. Police say they expect to make an arrest soon. The chairman and CEO of HBO is taking a leave of absence after what happened in front of the MGM Grand Saturday night. Police say Chris Albrecht assaulted his girlfriend in the valet parking area. He's been charged with misdemeanor battery and domestic assault. The incident happened after the fight between Oscar De La Hoya and Floyd Mayweather Jr. Good news from the Clark County school system. The graduation rate went up during the 2005-2006 school year. It rose 3%. But there's one local high school that's doing even better than that. Channel 8's Ashanti Blaze went to Durango High School to find out the secret to its success.
When I'm not here, you're going to be looking for people that are like this.
Julie Russo has been teaching at Durango High School for the last 7 years.
I teach math, I teach AVID, and I teach sociology and psychology.
Through those years, while her position has stayed the same, her students and their needs have always been different.
I think that life has changed for them, and school has to change right along with it, and teachers have to change right along with that.
Her approach, one that her fellow teachers at Durango High School share, seems to be working. Their graduation rates are one of the highest in the county, and the principal, Mark Gums, couldn't be happier.
We increased about 12% year to year. And how did we do that? Lots of hard work and a dedicated team of professionals in the classroom every day doing what's good for kids.
Teachers like Julie Russo, who spend extra time working on one of the biggest hurdles county seniors face, proficiency exams.
We have a math boot camp, so they get to go, and they get to go with the other kids that haven't passed, because sometimes it's just a confidence issue. Sometimes it's just that they don't know how to take a test.
Our hard work is paying off.
Come graduation day, they'll see a group of excited seniors, some who never thought they'd make it through high school, finally get their diploma.
It's the best feeling in the world, the absolute best feeling in the world. It's like they've been running a marathon and they're finally crossing the finish line.
And soon teachers like Russo will get a whole new group of students ready to finish the big race.
And that is Ashanti Blaze reporting. It is one for the history books. Man has never seen something like this. NASA releases pictures of a huge star exploding. And the soggy Midwest braces for a week of flooding. We'll be right back.
Hour earlier, News 1 at 9. Southern Nevada's only 9 p.m. newscast on Las Vegas 1 Cable Channel 19.
Spring in the Midwest is a time for planting and a time for worrying. Once again, residents are bracing for floods, bringing back memories of the deluge of '93 when thousands of acres were underwater for weeks. But experts say this year won't be nearly as bad. Nancy Cordes reports.
The same storm system that spawned a rare and devastating F5 tornado in Kansas this week went on to dump torrents of rain on the Central Plains. Now, all that water is tumbling over the banks of the Missouri River and its tributaries, forcing thousands out of their homes. The Army Corps of Engineers is in a race against time, trying to get water pumps and more than 500,000 sandbags to where they're needed most.
We're getting a constant feed from the Weather Service out of their data models.
Meteorologist Dennis Feltgen showed us those models.
It's a major flood. You have to get people out of the way.
They're powerful new flood prediction tools that combine rainfall data from Doppler radar and satellite with water levels from river gauges. All those purple squares in the middle of the U.S. map represent major flooding.
What kind of information does this give you that you didn't have 10 years ago?
10 years ago, we weren't able to nearly forecast with accuracy the rapid rise of the rivers, how fast it was going to go up, where it was going to peak, and when it was going to start coming down.
And as with tornadoes, advanced flood warnings can make all the difference. The famous floods of 1993 killed nearly 50 people and spurred the Weather Service to develop this new system. Using it, they were able to predict Sunday, look at the blue line, that the Grand River near Sumner, Missouri would shoot up 25 feet in 2 days.
Judging by this graph here, they didn't have a whole lot of time. It was a well-predicted event, but still, when you see this water rising in a short period of time, you've got very little time to get out of its way.
One town they're most concerned about right now, Sibley, Missouri, nestled in a bend of the Missouri River. The model predicts the river there will crest at 11 feet above flood stage tomorrow and will remain above flood stage until at least Sunday.
That information was critical to local leaders, emergency management, everybody involved, giving them time to make sure that the levees are shored up. Do we have to sandbag? If we got to do it, we got to do it now.
One positive sign, unlike the floods of 1993, the computers show that in most areas, the flooding will last days, not months. Nancy Cordes, CBS News, Washington.
The Midwest isn't the only area facing the flooding. The surf's up in Florida, where it is doing some major damage. It's one of the stories making news in tonight's Video Nation. Waves 10 to 15 feet high are slamming into Jupiter Beach. The water is eroding about 100 feet of coastline, and you can see that a lifeguard office and a garage are close to sliding into the surf. Crews tried to put up a seawall to stop the erosion, but safety concerns forced them to quit, with the area under a coastal flooding warning. A huge fire burned several buildings in Crawfordsville, Indiana today. That's about 50 miles northwest of Indianapolis. The blaze started before dawn, spreading to several buildings in the downtown area. Several businesses were damaged and also some apartments. The flames were so intense, firefighters were unable to prevent the roofs from collapsing on several buildings. And scientists have never seen this before. It is the biggest stellar explosion ever recorded by telescopes on Earth. NASA released this animation this week. Scientists first saw the exploding star back in September. It is believed to be about 150 times bigger than our sun. The explosion happened 238 million light years away from Earth. Right now, let's get a check of our forecast. Meteorologist Gina Cancelleri is standing by tonight. Hey, Gina.
Jeff, it's really mild and dry and comfortable outside right now. Here's a look at some current temperatures. We're all in the mid to upper 70s, still seeing 80 degrees at Nellis right now. Otto, 79 degrees, most areas 79 degrees, with the exception of Fort Apache off to the north and to the west. 76, Jones and Smoke Ranch also 76. These numbers are very common throughout the valley. Here's a look at numbers maybe in your neighborhood. West Tropicana, 76 degrees right now. West Charleston, 79. Charleston and Hollywood, 81. Mountain Vista, one of the warmest spots inside the valley at 84 degrees right now. That's the average high temperature for this time of year. Outside the valley, we've got warm numbers here too. Death Valley 94, Pahrump 72 degrees, Lake Mead 76, Searchlight 78, Indian Springs 75, and hardly any 60s off to the north, and there's just 150 way up there, way up there. We're all being influenced, though, by the same area of high pressure. It's this area of high pressure that will give us really warm days, sunny days, and really calm, clear, dry nights. It's not going to go anywhere as we head through the next couple of days, so it's going to sink down on us and sit on us for quite some time. What that means is, of course, we're going to stay dry. Here's a look at the satellite. A lot of sunshine throughout the day today. As we head through the night tonight, we're staying clear, we're staying dry. And this will be the picture as we head through the next couple of days without any changes happening. Here's a look at the forecast as we head through the night tonight. It will be a very mild night, quite obviously, with temperatures standing as they are right now, only getting down to maybe the upper 60s for us, 66 for the lakes, Sunrise Manor 69, and a nice breeze out of the southwest, about 5 to 10 miles per hour. And really, that's about it. As we head through the next couple of days, we will be pretty calm. We will be pretty beautiful. Here's a look at the planner as you head through the day tomorrow. Sunny, 68 as you start your morning. Extra warm as we head into noon, approaching the 90-degree mark, and we'll be dry and in the low 90s as we head through 6 o'clock in the evening. So it will be an above-average day as we move through the day tomorrow with a lot of heat. Air quality looks good, though, for dust, for ozone, and for carbon monoxide, and our day's getting a little longer. The sun will come up at 5:40 and set later on in the evening at 7:35. And if you like the warm weather, you're in the right place at the right time. This will prove it to you. As we head through the next couple of days, temperatures going to be warm, mid to upper 90s for highs, and low temperatures will hover right around the 70-degree mark. We will have sunny days, we will have clear nights, and we'll have really no major storms to talk about, and even on Mother's Day, everything looking really gorgeous for all of our gorgeous and loving mommies.
Absolutely. Good job. All right, Gina. Thanks a lot. We got to change gears here quickly. 5 sailors die in a training accident in northern Nevada. The Navy wants to know why a helicopter went down. And federal authorities say they broke up a terror plot, and the target was Fort Dix, New Jersey. We'll be right back.
You're watching Las Vegas 1 on Cox Cable. Live from the studios of the Las Vegas Sun and Channel 8's Eyewitness News. This is News 1 at 9.
Welcome back. I'm Jeff Gillen. Time now for a look again at tonight's top stories. We now know the name of the victim killed in yesterday's deadly explosion at the Luxor. The victim has been identified as Willibaldo Durantes Antonio. The 24-year-old worked at Nathan's Hot Dogs in the Luxor. Police say he was leaving work around 4 a.m. yesterday with a friend when he found what looked like a cup sitting on his car. The device went off when he tried to remove it. Metro Police and federal agents say they believe that Durantes Antonio was the targeted victim. Federal officials said they have broken up a homegrown terror plot, and American soldiers were the targets. The arrests came today in New Jersey. Bob Orr reports.
The plot to attack U.S. soldiers on American soil ended in darkness at this home in Cherry Hill, New Jersey. Ringleaders of a homegrown terror cell with big plans and big mouths were arrested as they tried to buy AK-47 and M16 assault weapons from an FBI agent posing as an arms dealer. For more than a year, federal agents watched and listened to the 6 suspects, shown here in the back of SUVs heading to court. The foreign-born Islamic radicals told informants of their plans to attack Fort Dix and other U.S. military targets in the Philadelphia area.
Today we dodged a bullet. In fact, when you look at the type of weapons that this group was trying to purchase, we may have dodged bullets.
Law enforcement sources say no attack was imminent, but the suspects who appeared in court today face possible life sentences for plotting to kill as many soldiers as possible. One of the suspects was familiar with Fort Dix, having delivered pizzas to the base from this Camden County pizza shop. And one of his accomplices brazenly bragged to an FBI informant, "My intent is to hit a heavy concentration of soldiers." Sources say the New Jersey cell has no apparent ties to Al-Qaeda or any larger terrorist organization. Still, the suspects, 3 of them in the U.S. illegally, had surveilled multiple targets, including Fort Dix in New Jersey, Dover Air Force Base in Delaware, and the Navy Yard in Philadelphia. The New Jersey cell had already acquired some weapons, and officials say had trained at a Pocono Mountain shooting range for a commando-type assault. A relative of 4 of those charged dismissed the allegations.
The Poconos, it's a vacation. They go there for vacation, that's it. Seriously. They go there, they shoot a little in the shooting range, they want to have fun. I mean, they're guys.
Officials say they were alerted to the suspects by a video store clerk. who was asked to make a dub of a videotape the men took themselves, which the government says shows the suspects shooting assault weapons in a malicious style while calling for jihad and shouting in Arabic, Allah Akbar, or God is great.
If we didn't get that tip, I can't be sure what would happen.
Officials say they've caught the absolute core of this plot. But the arrests are just the latest reminder that more than 5.5 years after 9/11, it's not just foreign, but also homegrown terrorists who are plotting to kill Americans. Bob Orr, CBS News, Camden, New Jersey.
The Navy is investigating a helicopter crash in northern Nevada. 5 sailors were killed today when their chopper crashed during a training exercise. It was flying out of the Naval Air Station in Fallon when it went down. The chopper clipped some high-voltage transmission lines. That's what the Navy is saying. The crew was on a combat and training mission and was based out of Jacksonville, Florida. Another Nevada soldier was killed fighting in Iraq. 25-year-old Army Reserve Staff Sergeant Kobe G. Schwab and another American soldier were killed when their truck was hit by a roadside bomb in Ramadi last Thursday. Before joining the Army, Schwab attended the Advanced Technologies Academy in Las Vegas. His parents currently live in Henderson. House Democrats are once again taking an in-your-face approach on Iraq. Their newly unveiled plan would give the president only part of the money he wants to fund the war. Dana Bash reports.
When the House Speaker emerged from the White House less than a week ago, she talked about consensus. Not anymore.
I said we had a responsibility to the American people to try to find our common ground. Where we didn't find our common ground, we would stand our ground.
Now, instead of negotiating with the White House, House Democrats are rallying around a plan that would withhold more than half of the $100 billion the president wants. Their two-pronged approach: first, approve $43 billion through July, then vote on the rest of the money only after the president gives Congress a detailed report on Iraq's military and political progress.
The days of having a blank check from Congress are over.
Democrats hope that reporting requirement is enough to satisfy a left flank furious about funding the war without a plan to bring troops home. Republican leaders dismiss it as irresponsible.
It is unconscionable to think that they want to fund a war 60 days at a time.
But House Democrats may get support from rank-and-file Republicans who believe it is past time to pressure the Iraqi government.
So we need to put things out in front of the Iraqi government that makes them realize they have to do certain things to continue the support of the American people. Absolutely.
Politically vulnerable Republicans like Congressman Jim Gerlach and Senator Susan Collins say September could be a turning point. That's when Iraq Commanding General David Petraeus will report on whether the U.S. strategy is working. In fact, Collins tells CNN her support for troops staying in Iraq hinges on that report.
If it's evident that the new strategy is not successful and it's not going to succeed, that we do have to change course. And that means looking at all the options, including a plan for withdrawing.
The immediate challenge, of course, is still how to fund the war. And the short-term funding plan put forward in the House has never been popular in the Senate, even among Democrats. Now the Senate Majority Leader says he's keeping all options on the table, but he is still negotiating with the White House. Dana Bash, CNN, Capitol Hill.
The I-Team has new details on the collapse of a Henderson financial firm. The company closed its doors in January with at least $96 million in clients' money missing. Today, District Court Judge Elizabeth Gonzalez ordered court control over several more companies linked to the former owners of the Southwest 1031 Exchange. Meantime, Don McGahn and his daughter Nikki Pomeroy have both filed affidavits saying they will invoke Fifth Amendment protections against self-incrimination if they're called to testify in this case. More people want to gamble, and 2006 was a year for U.S. casinos, a record year, actually. According to the American Gaming Association's annual report on the state of gaming, revenues rose to more than $32 billion. Nevada was responsible for more than $12 billion of that total. The report did not include Native American casinos. The survey also says growth is expected to continue, and poker continues to gain in popularity. The head of the AGA also says he expects the push for smoking restrictions to soon directly affect casinos. He expects exemptions many casinos currently enjoy to be removed in the coming years. The final totals are in, and NASCAR weekend back in March pumped $198 million into our local economy. It is the 6th straight year that amount has gone up. 340,000 people visited the Speedway over the weekend. More than 114,000 of those NASCAR fans came from out of state. The latest and most cutting-edge designs for your kitchen and bathroom are being showcased right here in Las Vegas. The world's largest kitchen and bath show began today at the Convention Center. The event is closed to the public. More than 900 leading companies are showing off their products. Consumer expert Frank Vigiano says one of his favorite items is a new and improved microwave.
We're in the kitchen, and of course that's where a lot of money is spent. And I'm going to show you a brand new microwave. These are also by LG. Watch this. Instead of the door opening left or right, it's the first time ever that the door opens up out of the way. Isn't that cool?
The Kitchen and Bath Show is in town through Thursday. Coming up in sports, one boxer is going to be paid tribute to Diego Corrales. Chris Matthews will have more on that. Plus, Lon Kruger is helping kids in Henderson by catching up on a few brush strokes. You're watching News 1. Welcome back. We're joined once again by Chris Matthews. You know, this Corrales, it's tough to start sports on a down note like this tragedy that we saw last night, but he'd been having kind of a rough patch in the ring, hadn't he? Or?
Yeah, he had. He lost his fight last month. He lost the one before that, so he was on top of the world a couple years ago and was slowly kind of sliding down as we report at the top of this show. Some say that boxer Diego Corrales worked as hard as he played. Last night's tragic accident, well, that may have cost him his life and be proof.
Corrales bought his new bike last month, and now police are saying excessive speed contributed to the tragedy. A life cut short by driving recklessly. His promoter Gary Shaw released a statement saying, Diego fought recklessly and lived recklessly. That was his style. He always cared about the fans and gave them their money's worth. He was a true warrior. He was what boxing stood for and what boxing is all about. Corrales was a two-division champ, won 4 world titles, had some big fights, lost to Mayweather, but in what some are saying is boxing's greatest bout. Corrales knocked down twice by Jose Luis Castillo, only to come back and stun the crowd with his own knockout win. Because of that one night in 2005, Castillo will forever be linked to Corrales. Castillo will fight on. He meets Ricky Hatton next month here in Las Vegas. Hatton released a statement saying, I'm really saddened because he's a fighter's fighter, a real man's fighter, very passionate when he got in the ring. Always went forward, was always in good fights. I'm going to dedicate my next fight to Diego Corrales. A goodwill act for one of his own. A man whose life was cut short too soon. Diego Chico Corrales dead at the age of 29.
All right, and promoter Gary Shaw is going to try to get Corrales inducted into the Boxing Hall of Fame. Of course, this comes on the heels of that terrific fight over the weekend with Floyd Mayweather and Oscar De La Hoya. NBA playoffs continue, a couple of games. One of them's already in the books. LeBron James leading the charge for the home team. Heats up in the second half against those Nets. Look at James, scored 25 of his game-high 36 in the final 24. New Jersey shot the ball well, hitting 53%. Vince Carter leading the charge with 26 there for the Nets, but it was New Jersey. It got hammered on the boards, 49-32. Couldn't slow down James. And Cleveland now 6-0 in the postseason with tonight's 102-92 win. They lead the series 2-0 as it shifts to New Jersey. Game 3 Sunday at the Meadowlands. Might also mention that right now the Spurs and the Suns are playing, and the Suns have a 4-point lead. Last we heard, UNLV coach Lon Kruger dipping into his past, kind of. Coach Kruger working with the local artist to paint a masterpiece. They hope will raise some money for Henderson school kids. Of course, this was a basketball-themed painting. Coach wouldn't have it any other way.
Is that what you guys were on? The plays come to mind, but as far as what actually is on the canvas, obviously you don't see a lot of continuity. It's just kind of one pass, one cut, you know, space up the floor, and it's kind of a moment in time of a series of plays, I guess.
Wait a sec, no continuity? It looks pretty good to me, doesn't it, you, Jeff? The painting may go up for auction on Thursday at the Henderson Community Center. You can bid on that thing. Last year, 50,000 attended Art Fest there in Henderson. And this is kind of a nice little thing. They get some celebrities and so forth together. I know that Lance Burton's doing a painting, and they auction these off for the school kids in Henderson there.
Art Fest, I live in Henderson. It's a great thing, so go. It's in May. You'll love it. Absolutely.
Tons of things, right?
Absolutely.
Besides, yeah, okay.
And food. We don't forget the food.
Well, we'll be there then.
All right, Chris, thanks much. We'll be right back. Here are some of the stories you will see in tomorrow's Las Vegas Sun. Plans for an anti-terrorism hub in Carson City would disrupt existing plans. Major League Soccer could be first big league sport to land in Las Vegas. And Governor Gibbons asks Attorney General to clear up confusion over tax breaks for green buildings. Those stories and much more in tomorrow's edition of the Las Vegas Sun. Amid the rubble come stories of survival in the Kansas farming town of Greensburg. A tornado all but wiped it off the map over the weekend. The town may be gone, but not its spirit. Hari Srinivasan reports.
This police car is among the mangled messes left by the killer tornado that ripped through Greensburg on Friday. There was a police officer inside working to warn others when it was picked up, spun around, and thrown 300 yards.
He was out there trying to protect other people, and unfortunately, he just has to protect himself.
46-year-old Maxville police officer Robert Tim Buckman was taken off life support this morning. His colleagues describe him as an outdoorsman with a sense of humor and as a man who loved to spot storms, a hero.
Going to have to die, that's the way he'd want to do it.
As the skies opened up over Greensburg,
it's all gone.
One family is intact thanks to the heroics that saved a mother and child.
He landed in this arm. He was landing in this arm, and I held the wall off of him with this arm.
As the winds of the EF5 town-wide tornado roared through, Kelsey Schroth protected her baby, Jaden, under a pile of rubble until her neighbor, Dennis McKinney, whose own house was leveled, pulled her free.
Them people are...
Saved his life.
Yeah, they're the heroes.
For the second day, residents came back to share stories about heroes, stories of survival, and find their buried treasures.
Here's Grandma and Grandpa's wedding picture.
For this family, what was inside this 150-year-old cedar chest was very close to their hearts.
This was my mother's chest, and I'm 83 years old, so it's been a while.
They're coming to terms with the destruction of their home and still finding reasons to laugh.
Why cry? We can't do anything about it, so just go ahead and live on. At least we got our lives.
A lesson from an 83-year-old that'll be taught to the generation that survived this storm. Hari Srinivasan, CBS News, Greensburg, Kansas.
As the weather gets warmer and summer vacation gets nearer, parents are getting a new message to keep their kids safe around pools. The public service announcements will run on TV and radio as well as at local movie theaters. The Clark County Fire Department says it wanted to reach as many people as possible.
The blockbusters for the summer are just getting ready to come out, probably the middle of this month. And so we thought this would be a great time not only to reach those parents, but all kinds of people that actually go to the movies that have, pools in their backyard.
The slogan for the PSA is "Take a Second, Protect a Child." You'll see them running in theaters for the next 3 weeks. Right now, let's get a final check of our forecast. Meteorologist Gina Cancelleri is standing by once again. Hey, Gina.
Jeff, it was an above average day today. High temperature recorded at McCarran, 89 degrees. So if you thought it was warm, you're right. The normal high temperature for this time of year is the mid-80s. And we started off the morning relatively warm, too, 63 degrees, when the normal is about 60. Records. We're far from the record high for today, 102. But we will continue to approach these numbers as we head through the rest of the week. Elsewhere, we've got severe weather going in the country right now. Oklahoma City through almost to Dallas. A tornado